How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So, you've been working with a client from our agency in your classroom one-to-one, correct?
Right.
Okay, and we're working on how to transfer the skill of washing hands into the classroom using the task analysis and backwards chaining procedures. And that's what I'm here to talk and teach you today in order for you to implement it to him in the classroom.
Okay.
All right. So, here's a handout I created with all the objectives of task analysis, backwards chaining, and prompting on it, just to give you a visual for the future. And just to remind you about our agenda today, so we're going to go over the objectives, we're going to look at the performance checklist that I've created. I'm going to then model to you backwards chaining and the steps involved with it. Mm-hmm. And then that will be your turn to then practice it on me, and then I'll give you feedback on your performance.
Sounds good.
All right. So, task analysis. It's used to break down a skill from a complex behavior. So you're going to break it down into steps, mm-hmm. And that way you'll be able to know exactly what step to stop at for backwards chaining. So for our procedure today, we have washing hands. It's turn water on, get soap, rub hands together, rinse hands, water off, and dry hands.
Okay.
And these steps are also in the performance checklist that I'll go over with you in a little bit. That way you can use it to refer to throughout the procedure that we're doing of washing hands. And then backwards chaining is when you'll prompt him through the first 5 steps of the entire sequence. Mm-hmm. And then at the last step, that's when you'll not prompt him at all, not give him any verbal instructions in order to promote an independent response.
Sounds good.
All right. And then moving forward with that is once he's mastered this step, the next level would be to move up to the second last step and so on. Okay. So hopefully within time, he'll be able to do the whole procedure of washing hands completely independent.
All right.
So for prompting, there's a full prompt, partial physical, partial physical, gestural, and we have verbal prompts. So full physical, may I use your hands to demonstrate, mm-hmm. is when you're going to be doing a hand-over-hand technique. So water on, get soap, rub hands together, and you're going to go through that with him.
Okay. Using
the hand-over-hand. Once in time he gets better with these steps, you can then move to a partial where you just gently touch his arm mm-hmm. to initiate water on. And then you can also just say, wash hands, and point to the water. And that's for the gestural.
Okay.
Verbal prompts is when you're going to be using them throughout all the steps. So you'll be saying the steps. So wash hands, turn water on, get soap, rub hands together, and so on. And then within backwards chaining, there's also a controlling reinforcer. And this is basically at the end when he's finished the whole sequence. That's when you'll say, great job washing your hands, and here's a gummy.
Okay.
And that can be changed. So if it's not working, if gummies aren't in his favor for that day, you can change it to anything. Just something for him to pair it with a positive, and for the likelihood of him doing it in the future will be increased. So I'm going to move on to the performance checklist. And again, this is used as a reminder to know what the steps are, and it'll also be used as an evaluation tool for me. So going through the steps for backwards chaining and the procedure today, we have to make sure all materials are present. So this involves being at a sink, having soap, a towel, all that. The mediator has the checklist that has been provided on the clipboard, and I'm going to give this clipboard to you to keep, so then you can have it right with you. Okay. I think it'll make it easier in the future, and that way it'll all stay together. The next step is bringing the client to the sink, so you'll initiate him to come over. You deliver a clear and precise SD, which is wash hands. Mm-hmm. So you'll say wash hands and just keep it clear and simple. And then the mediator uses a full prompt using hand-over-hand procedure to complete the following steps after the SD has been delivered within 1 second. So you say, okay, wash hands, and then immediately take his hands and start doing the full prompts.
Okay.
The mediator uses the correct level of prompting throughout, and as I discussed, today we're going to be using the full physical and verbal prompts because this is a newer skill for him in this setting. Right. We want to make sure that he's successful with it. The next, the mediator provides verbal instructions through each step. 8, the mediator does not give any verbal instruction or prompts of the last step of dry hands. So like I discussed before, it's just the first 5, and at the end, you stop all prompts, all verbal prompts,
Okay.
Everything for him to initiate that response on his own. And then the mediator delivers reinforcement immediately once the learner has finished drying hands and uses verbal praise with the tangible or edible. Okay. So that's why I just wrote it as tangible or edible, because it may be different day to day.
Right.
So if you want to go ahead and put that on your clipboard.
Okay.
And then you can use that to photocopy as well for in the future. And I also I'm giving you a DVD. It's just going to be another visual for you to go over in case you have any other questions, but to remind you about all the different things we talked about today with task analysis, backwards chaining, and all the prompts.
Okay.
So we can just put that over here, I guess. There we go. All right. And should we go to the bathroom to complete the next steps on the agenda?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So you want to make sure you have your reinforcement easily to access when it's finished.
Okay.
We have our soap, we have our towel, we have our clipboard. Let's start. Okay, so wash hands. Turn water on. Get soap. Rub hands together. Rinse hands. Water off. Great job drying your hands.
Thank you.
You have nice clean hands now. All right, so that was really good. Now, are you ready to practice it on me?
Sure.
Do you have a certain side that you prefer to practice on?
This is a good side.
Okay. So here's your reinforcement. Make sure that's easily accessible.
Okay.
And whenever you're ready.
Okay. So we're gonna wash hands. So first thing, turn the water on. Get soap. Rub hands together. Rinse hands. And water off. Good job. You have clean hands. Here's a candy.
Thank you. That was really good. So let's go back to the table and we'll go over the evaluation tool and see what maybe we can work on in the future and what we did great.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
So like I said in there, that was really good. So let's go through. It's a yes, no, or NA, not applicable, for self-rating. So all materials present, yes. You made sure you had your reinforcers, your soap, the towel. Mediator has checklist that has been provided on clipboard. Yep. Brings client to the sink. In that sense, we were already at the sink, so I'm assuming in the school you'll initiate him to come to the sink. So that was just an NA. Mediator delivers a clear and precise SD of washing hands. I think you did really good. I think just to work on is just being more stronger with your SD.
Okay.
But I think that will honestly just come with time because it's a really awkward when it's we're practicing on each other.
Right.
I think with him, once you're more comfortable, you'll be a lot better. Mediator uses full prompt hand-over-hand procedure to complete the following steps. After the SD has been delivered within 1 second, you were great with all that. You delivered the SD and did all of these steps. You did the correct level of prompting. You had verbal and hand-over-hand. The mediator provided verbal instructions. And then mediator did not give any verbal instructions or prompt in the last step of dry hands. And you did really good with that. I find sometimes people get really confused with that last step. And it's really awkward just to stop everything. But you did really good. Okay. And it initiated that movement of drying hands. And you delivered the reinforcement immediately after I was finished drying my hands. So that was really good. So I think moving forward, in the school, I think it'd be best to try this with him this week.
Okay.
And then we'll set up an appointment for next week. And I can come in and then actually observe you two doing it together.
Okay, great.
All right?
Yeah.
So do you have any questions today for me, Michael?
Nope. I think you covered everything.
Perfect. So you have your handout, your video, and the performance checklist. And I think you're all set to go.
It's great to meet you.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Thanks.